Welcome to Staffworks Explained. If you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. In this video, we'll be talking about the Liganga and Mchuchuma integrated iron ore and steel and coal projects, where we say it's a new dawn for Tanzania, since this project has long delayed, but there are signs that's now coming up. After more than 2 decades of planning, negotiations and false starts, one of the East Africa's most ambitious industrial schemes, the Liganga and Mchuchuma integrated iron ore, steel and coal project, is finally entering a decisive phase of implementation. Once completed, the initiative is expected to transform Tanzania's role in steel production, reduce costly imports of raw materials, and create 10,000 of jobs in Tanzania. But its journey from concept to reality has been long, complex, and fraught with challenges. The Liganga Mchuchuma project, located in Ludewa District of Njombe region in southern Tanzania, combines 2 major mineral deposits, iron ore at Liganga and coal at Mchuchuma. The scale of these resources is striking. Geological assessments show about 126 million tons of iron ore reserves at Liganga and approximately 428 million tons of coal at Mchuchuma, capable of supporting decades of extraction and industrial activity. The design calls for 2.9 million tons per annum iron ore mine, a 3 million tons per annum coal mine, a 1 million tons annual steel plant, and a 600 megawatts coal-fired power station to supply energy to the complex. A 220 kilovolt transmission line will link the coal to power facilities with steelworks. In terms of why has implementation taken so long, the origins of the project stretch back to 1996, when Tanzania cabinet first endorsed the idea of developing the country's iron and coal resources in a way that would feed industrial development rather than simply export materials. Successive governments reaffirmed that commitment, and in 2011 a joint venture agreement was signed with Chinese investors, but progress stalled for years due to disagreement over incentives, financing, and assurances about technical and financial capacity. Early investment interests were anchored in a partnership with Sichuan Hongda Group, but that arrangement faltered as debates over financing, obligation, and implementation responsibility dragged on. Ultimately, Tanzania moved to restructure the deal to attract an investor with stronger execution capacity. That investor is now Shudao Investment Group Company Limited, or SDIG, which in 2024 acquired the Hogda stake, revitalized negotiations with National Development Corporation (NDC). Multiple rounds of talks in 2025, including high-level Tanzania delegation visit to China, focused on shareholding structure, financing guarantees, and also implementation guarantees. By late 2025, contractual negotiations were reported to about 95% complete, a milestone that has unlocked the next phase of project preparation. Let's look at the feasibility study and the current unlock mechanism. One of the biggest recent developments has been the launch of an updated feasibility study, jointly conducted by the NDC and SDIG. This is not a routine technical exercise. It is the foundation of the project execution planning. A feasibility study lays out technical design, cost estimates, environmental and social impacts, market prospects, as well as risk scenarios. Because the mining and steel sectors and global markets for coal and iron have shifted, and it's dramatic in the late decade, it was essential to reassess viability under current realities. Experts involved say this study will take about 1 year, and it's designed to reflect market dynamics, technological advancement, and higher environmental standards that were not part of the earlier execution. What has unlocked this phase after years of stagnation is a convergence of factors. The entry of SDIG as a more financially robust investor, government's persistence in addressing lingering negotiations over incentives, and a clear or clear alignment of interest between Tanzania and its partner on implementation timelines. The Tanzania government is anxious to leverage the window of opportunity created by rising demand for steel across Africa, a continent that needs more domestic production capacity rather than reliance on import. Let's look at the consortium and the project structure. The operation vehicle of this project is Tanzania China International Mining or Minerals Resources Limited, TCIMRL, which is a joint venture between NDC and the Chinese partner. Under the current arrangement, NDC holds a 20% stake with an option of increasing this. And SDIG, formerly Honda, positions hold 80%. This structure combines public sector oversight with private sector execution capacity, a typical model for large-scale resource projects in Africa. Over time, the composition of this Chinese partner has changed, reflecting practical challenges in securing a backer with deep pockets and proven industrial experts. The shift to SDIG followed the government's determination that the early investor lacked sufficient capacity to deliver a project of this magnitude on a schedule and as well as at an acceptable risk. What are the benefits on the horizon? When implemented, this project is expected to deliver a range of economic benefits that extend well beyond mining. Direct employment during construction and operation is projected to be at 6,600 jobs, with another 26,000 jobs indirectly created through supporting services, logistics, and downstream industries. Strategically, the project will help control Tanzania's heavy reliance on imported steel and raw materials, which currently costs the national economy billions of dollars annually and limits competitiveness in construction, infrastructure, as well as manufacturing sector. A domestic steel plant will supply raw steel for everything from bridges, rail to machinery, potentially transforming Tanzania's industrial base. What are the challenges? How have they been, or how are they being unlocked, or how are they being unlocked? Despite progress, significant hurdles remain. There is financing complexity. The total price tag of around $3 billion is substantial for a single emerging market project. Negotiations have had a balance between investor risk, government obligation, and as well as assurances to the local communities who are displaced and affected by the mining activities. The updated feasibility study is a tool for clarifying financial needs as well as attracting additional capital where necessary. There is also the challenge of environmental and social consideration. Large-scale mining in Tanzania carries environmental and social responsibility. Compensation for more than 1,100 residents in a project areas has already been completed, but ongoing stakeholder engagement and adherence to international best practice standards will be critical as the project moves into construction. There is also the infrastructure needs, where the value of project is tightly linked to transport infrastructure. Plans for the Mtwara Bamba Mchuchuma Liganga standard SGR, which is a 900 plus kilometer line connecting the mines to the ports and regional markets, would further unlock economic value, reducing logistics costs as well as opening broader trade corridors. In conclusion, we can say that the project is a turning point, or it's at a turning point. Liganga Mchuchuma integrated project embodies both the promise and complexity of African industrial aspiration. Years of negotiations and restructuring and technical assessment have delayed its start, but those delays reflect deeper shift in global markets, investor expectation, and Tanzania's own strategic priorities. Today, the project is closest it has ever been to implementation. Contracts are nearly complete, 95%. A new feasibility study is underway, and the government has signaled its determination to move from talk to action. If the current momentum holds, the project will not only alter Tanzania's industrial landscape, but also reframe East African role in global steel production and mineral value chains. Its success will depend on disciplined execution, robust financing mechanism, strong environmental and social governance, as well as the ability to translate mineral wealth into broad-based economic transformation. So thank you for reaching this far. We'd like to hear your views about this revival of the project, which has delayed for decades. You can also leave a you can also like, also if you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you.